All right, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our final week of the ESL Pro League here in North America. It's day 2 of this final week, and we are getting ready to jump into our first map. It's going to be Ghost Gaming taking on the Misfits, who surprised everyone last weekend by qualifying for the major qualifier at the NA Minor, so they're certainly feeling good about themselves for Ghost, while they're trying to just keep themselves out of last place in Pro League and avoid getting relegated right now is their main objective.
I was kind of sad to see Dallas go because I thought he was a pretty good player, and I think I talked to him just briefly in an Execute server, and he was just like, I just wasn't a good support player. So I think they brought B in because he knows the team a little bit better, and he's going to be playing the kind of supportive role, I suppose, on the team, which there's some debate about whether or not there is like a truly thoroughbred support player out there that plays on a pro team, but there are certain players who maybe will take more supportive roles, I think. Or I think usually when you're on a team, the dynamic is your IGLs can buy nades because it's his strat, and then he's going to have like one other person support and buy nades, and that's kind of like the guy who is support player, but sometimes it just comes down to the money. So I don't know. I thought Dallas was pretty good. Sad to see him go. Cool to see B though, because I know B is actually quite good. He's not just like he's not like a manager or something like that. He used to play on the team, just got moved out to coach, and maybe won't frag as hard as Dallas, but maybe understands the team a little bit better and can definitely frag himself. So I'm curious to see how he's going to do. And it's coming in at a very high pressure situation though. They've got to stay away from getting relegated at a pro league, which is, I mean, this is the highest. This might be even higher stakes than not making the LAN, right? Because you're trying to have another season with an opportunity to make the LAN. If you make top 7, you still get to play next season to try again. But if you have to go through Premier again, it's a salary cut. It's a roster change. That's turmoil. It's
a rough couple months for you, essentially.
Yeah.
Rough, a little bit of
it's a bad time.
Demotion that you'd have to go through there. Not only that too, but this has just become even harder for Ghost, considering the fact that Rogue, the team that's above them right now, obviously had their games versus the Renegades yesterday, where they were able to make quite a bit of impact there and take a few points off of them, including the one map upset that they managed to steal away. So now it's going to be even further that Ghost has to try and climb, just to try and at least take their position and put Rogue down in last place, and at least have to play for relegation instead of just automatically getting relegated with no chance to save yourself.
And you know they were watching those games.
Yeah, probably like, God
praying that Rogue lose against Stones. And what a couple of games that would have been to watch. They both going to OT, and then Renegades winning. They did split though, right?
They did, yeah.
They did split. Yeah, they split. They lost Mirage, so or they won Mirage at least. So that was that would have been pretty stressful, I think. You know, they had eyes glued because that matters almost as much as them straight up winning their games. And in terms of teams they have left, Misfits might be difficult. I feel like the Misfits are kind of a gatekeeper in the sense that they're going to be hard to scrim against. And if Ghost just made a roster change, they want to change anything about the way they play, then they're going to have a hard time. Now, I have seen them play Nuke, and I honestly feel like they're very Inferno, and I feel like they are a very legitimate Inferno team. I don't think that carries over to a map like Nuke. Sometimes with maps like Inferno, it's like a 3-lane map. It's standard practice, mid-control, split A, split B. But Nuke's a little different because you have the A site, you can full execute on the A site, but it's not so easy to make an individual play. It's not that easy to lurk outside, but it is important to lurk outside, and it's very different. You don't have many transferable skills.
And in general, this map pick coming out primarily probably from Misfits goes way back, I think, to the Echo Fox days when they liked to play it even without roster, when it was still Sean and Shazam playing for the squad, but then they had like Freakazoid in the mix there too. They liked playing Nuke back then, and they've kind of continued that into this new roster. And they're one of the few, I think, NA teams that actually doesn't mind going to Nuke. They doesn't mind playing on this map and actually prefers it under certain circumstances. But obviously, there's the stigma of Nuke in general leads to it getting banned out of the pool most of the time. So this is, I think, one of the few times where you're actually going to get to see Misfits jump onto it and play it out right here, especially against Ghost, which I think is another team that's somewhat okay jumping onto Nuke and playing it. Yeah,
Misfits have a pretty good win rate on Nuke, and if we don't have to look at the quality of the teams because Ghost is going to be on the lower end of those, so we can see that they win, close to 60% of their matches on Nuke, which is a pretty good stat line. Whereas Ghost, I don't think I've ever won a match on Nuke, so they just don't play it very. Or sorry, no, they have played Nuke, but it's their least won map of the maps they have won on. So I think it's going to be it's basically the hardest map they'll probably have to play today.
Yeah, and I think T sides are probably going to determine quite a bit about you know, what we see out of these two teams here. If we see the same type of executes and it becomes very predictable, and we start to see the CT sides leaning into that and just completely countering out executes, then it's going to be some very quick halves, very CT sided halves, and probably a very quick map for whichever team starts off on CT side. But if we actually can see some diversity in the executes and some more creative ways to get control across the map, which is probably the most important part about this map, then we could see some success on the T side and actually have ourselves a bit more of a competitive game.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to be watching how Misfits play the map, and if they can show us ways to innovate, because I know one thing you can count on with any match that has Sean Gares in, that he comes in prepared and has stuff that's a little bit, that's either new or just borrows the best stuff out there.
Well, we are getting into it now, and it's going to be Misfits starting off on the T side as they actually just go right into the A site. No hesitation at all. It's, for the most part, relatively open, too, because Ghosts were examining the outer positions like on ramp and the outside of the site, so that lets Misfits waltz right in, gets them a free plant, and now Seb and the others from Ghost are going to have to look to retake from primarily Heaven, it would seem right now. Spamming in, getting a lot of damage done to players like Ominek, but no kills just yet, so Ominek's allowed to escape, and they've now got 4 of their players in Heaven trying to retake from there, which could become quite messy if they're not careful. We've already seen one of their guys get knocked out. Connor going to be trying to sneak in through Mini here and get a kill off himself, but still no progress being made. They're all just stuck at the edge of the site. Finally, Connor gets one, and this distracts a little bit so we can start to see the Heaven players move back in. Smoke over top the bomb to at least add some confusion to the mix, and Rix with one more kill, but he'll lose Seb a moment later. B finds an additional kill. Ominek's still alive, trying to stop anyone from defusing, just running over it with a knife, and he does waste enough time so the bomb can blow up, and it gives Misfits control over the round.
Well, at least the retake didn't go so badly. It looked like it was going to be a lot worse of a round.
Yeah.
Misfits getting the plant, having a few seconds to set up, and then Ghost Gaming sending like 3 or 4 people to Heaven. It seemed like, all right, this is going to be a hard time for them to get out. Some of those angles can be difficult. You're shooting down, which people always talk about like a high-low advantage, but sometimes when there's so many angles that you have to look down into, it's kind of like drop, right? You don't feel that comfortable when you have to like clear everything beneath you, whereas the guy beneath you only has to worry about that one railing, or the to see over. Yeah. And that's a much easier fight because they only got to fire left to right. And still they got in the site, but they just took a little bit too long.
A little bit of spam from Shazam, whether he realized it or not. It did actually end up connecting on a Wardell there. So it knocks out about a quarter of his HP. Nothing major just yet. With Ghost forcing into it, still a very important round to make sure Misfits close out in clean fashion. As we do see them attempting to get aggressive here in the trophy room. No success for B. However, he'll be knocked out by Ominek. Misfits already up on the board, just taking a slower roll this time, though, as they know the CTs are going to try to get a little bit aggressive, so they just want to try to make sure that they're as careful about that as possible, just systematically clearing out the map. With Devo picking up another kill here, they actually haven't seen the guy sitting behind the doorway here yet, so he's going to be able to sneak off one kill, but besides that, it's pretty much a clean slate for Misfits as they wipe the board clean itself. Just Rix left alive now in the bottom of the vents. And more than likely won't be able to achieve that much, except for maybe a kill or two here. Should be Misfits clearing it out and going up 2-0.
Eco rounds can be pretty difficult sometimes because there's outside that you have to worry about, and I think it's good to take yard as a terrorist. The only thing you have to worry about is something like a scout, but there was nothing like that from Ghost, so their ability to get that fast lurk outside and then immediately trigger the choke points inside to or upper to take the site. Made that pretty simple. One person lost, and for Ghost, they've got 1 player up. It's not going to be in Misfits' best interest to find Rix. They would like him to die, but at no cost to them.
Yeah, I mean, CZ armor is not going to be a huge thing to get away with here, especially since the rest of the team is going to be on a complete full save for the next round, so they'll be okay with just letting him survive. And just having that little bit of extra firepower, which at worst will probably mean a traded kill or two in this 3rd round, and that's at worst. More than likely, they should still be able to cleanly execute here and once again win out the round with 4 to 5 players left alive.
Let's see what Misfits, and let's see what Ghosts do on this round. They have less to work with. I highly recommend they stick together and try to either push something together or just simply stack a site. It looks like upper is that one. Quite common. The only other way to get to lower is by taking secret, and that can take some time. And sometimes just having a CT on the stairs, for example, can be daunting enough to dissuade the terrorists from trying to approach.
Ominek will be able to hop in there, catches Wardell in a bad position, so now they've got hell control. in a second here, they're going to have outside control too. Shazam just taking him a moment to kill this guy at the secret steps. And there we go, with him knocked out. It's just down to B. And they have him locked down into a corner too. He's not going anywhere. And soon he'll be dead on the ground as Almanac picks up his third on the round. And Misfits secure their third round overall.
Let's see if they keep the MAC-10s.
Probably will, actually.
If they keep the MAC-10s, Ghost pick up an up. They are buying down to 0. They actually do get head armor, though. Everybody on Ghost got head armor. And not sure how I feel about this. They are worried about the MAC-10s. They're in kind of a tricky spot. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't, because they want to have nades, but they're also really weak to MAC-10s.
Everyone except for Wardell ended up getting head armor there, as unfortunately he has to go for the glass cannon off. It's going to be quick execute again, but Rix and Seb able to hold the line, and Rix will continue to do so as he picks up a second kill. But Devo, hold on now, he's finding some decent trades. He's got to be careful about getting pincered from Connor from the backside, however, so they need to watch out for that constantly. Devo does appear as though he's keeping eyes on it, but with B moving in to find Almanac, Devo's got a whole lot more to worry about than just that now. He's alone, stuck in this site, really only knows about the Heaven player too. He's lacking intel besides that, and he just has to work off of his own game sense. With 1 minute and 16 seconds left, had a lot of time to play with, but B pushes out from Heaven at the right time and will be able to secure that final kill.
That's a really nice round from Ghost. I mean, they held on to the upper site. Misfits tried to keep it simple. I like what they did. I like how they pressed the advantage of the MAC-10s by putting them out and running out Squeaky quickly. They knew they were low on nades, so that you're not going to... You might see a Squeaky molly, but you also might not, and there won't be too many nades past that. And I think the only problem was they just couldn't hit their shots. Like, the entries looked like they were there, and for some reason, all the players from Ghost were able to stay alive for, 5-6 seconds, which is too long on a fast exec.
Misfits hopping back down now, looking for a pretty quick follow-up probably into the lower site here, as we can already see them heading for the double doors. There's still quite a bit of CT presence, so they're going to want to be careful about this, especially if they just rush in again, because this is what cost them last time. However, Connor fires out too quickly. It's going to be Sean that strikes first. Not long, however, before we see some trades moving back in. The CT's looking for their way to drop down vents, but the T's still have good enough control over that, so it's not really going to be in their best interest. I do like that smoke they threw down below, though. It lets them go in for the plant without having to worry too much about the players over here at the ramp area. But still, that is going to leave them there very well set up for the retake already, and this combined with the pincer movement coming back in from Secret and Vents is not going to make it easy here for Misfits to shut it down. However, Shazam is holding the line all on his own right here from Control. Picked up 2 very important kills. I don't even think that Wardell and B are going to attempt this now. Both fall back up on top of the ramp, and they'll call for a save. Misfits will just retake back Control now.
I'm not sure if this is something that they talked about, but I can certainly see why going fast is the right thing to do on most of these T rounds, because if you're not set up properly on Nuke and you lose one player, communication becomes a nightmare, and getting the bomb down and forcing the CTs to have to retake, and even if the numbers are pretty similar, it's very favorable to the terrorists holding the site. So I think that if Misfits force their way into sites, risk a couple of entries getting traded, I think they still have a great chance to win the round, and I definitely agree with their pace at the moment.
Yeah, now this is going to leave Ghosts in a very unequal position for their buy on this round. It's just going to be upgraded pistols and sort of a half buy for those that didn't end up dying in the previous round, but obviously they will still have the saves. They're going to have a little bit of firing power here, but for the most part it is reliant on just that scavenged AK and up coming in from the last round. And oh, even worse, one of them is going to be caught off. That is to quickly retreat down the steps. I don't even know if Misfits saw him. I'm going to assume they did. Well, apparently not, actually, as B stays out in the open, catches one player, pops in the smoke too, and we'll just try to hold the line here. He knows there's a big group of players working his way down this ramp area, and we'll even call for reinforcements too. So we have the rotates in from Ghost. Misfits start to realize this, and now all of a sudden they have their own second guesses about executing here. They're going to head back up on top and look for some new options, like over here towards Hell.
Gotta appreciate the way that B played that. Held them off, forced them into one choke point, denied them the split, got a kill as well. Looking solid already.
B, however, finds a very nice shot there. Knocks at another one. Taking down Almanac here, but finally we see a trade from Misfits' end. So they're going to be able to move in. They do not immediately spot Rix, and what's even worse, this is a really good setup too. Deva's going to be able to move in, but that actually allows not for Seb to get the trade, but Wardell from further back outside of Mini to get that kill there. Still, though, the good setup. It's very well maintained. Good trades across the board, and now it falls to Sick to clutch. And he's not going to come close. Only gets one of the 3 kills before B takes him down.
I think B saved that gun from the previous round, and that's insane that he was able to have that impact. 3 frags, all in different locations, and he was such a good player at ramp to stop Misfits from taking the site, which was what we talked about as being kind of the ideal way for Misfits to play this half, or at least it seems like the most appropriate strategy, considering the position that Ghost's in as a team that doesn't play Nuke very much and has to play CT side, which is hard to stay coordinated on.
We've got Wardell is going to be pressured early on here. Unfortunately, won't be able to contribute too much to resisting this unless he's a really nice op shot right now. Ooh, a little bit too late on the mark there, so no connections, but should have been able to at least hear the footsteps and call out that there's definitely some secret control maintained for Misfits as they go for another just bursting execute into the lower site. B even still up on top ramp, waiting to stop Sean. However, the CT, okay, Devil, come on, there you go. Gets the kill. It's actually Shazam that picks up the frag, and B's patience is rewarded. He'll be able to find the trade up top of ramp to take down Sean. Site control is still maintained for Misfits, though, and now we go into a post-plant situation. B overstays his welcome out from that doorway. Wasn't able to kill the player to control either. This goes down without a trade to his name. Now the CT needs to be a little bit more careful here. Don't have the firing power advantage anymore. And even worse, that smoke that Seb just threw makes him think he's safe, and that's certainly not the case. Rix is going to be able to pick up a kill, as will Seb, however. And that brings it back into an advantage for them, but it's not going to stay that way for very long. Trades continue to roll in for the T's, and it looks like they'll hold on to that as Seb is left solo now with only 13 HP and a route inside and outside, more importantly, of the secret steps here, as he'll use this to escape, call for the save, and let Misfits pick up another round.
It's up to Ghost now to figure out how to control this tempo. What is it that they have to do differently? And I think the first step is to make sure that they have enough money that they can justify buying, and that means having the grenades necessary. If they can't do that, I recommend half buying and saving and not forcing the issue too much, because Misfits going quickly, if they're going to go quickly every single round, you need to have mollies, and you really want to have mollies. I mean, you could overstack something and assume they're going to rush out Squeaky and try to mow them down. Or you could just have your Molotovs and make sure that nothing fast can happen. One molly hut, one molly Squeaky, keep eyes outside, holding off to watch the cross, because if they're going fast, they're going to be skipping angles. They're going to be prone to getting offed. And you see those fast smoked outside, then you make the quick adjustment. But if not, then you can at least delay for the first 20-30 seconds of the round, and that's where we've seen success for Ghost, is when they're able to shut the round down early and force Misfits to readjust.
Ghost concluding their first pause here. Unfortunately, their rebuy is not going to end up being too strong. Just upgraded pistols again coming up onto the board for them. Let's hope the positioning works out okay for them to still snag away a few kills from Misfits, as they've certainly taken the reins here. And Amanek goes back to something that we were seeing quite often used at the minor too, which is going to be this Mac 10 purchase that we saw used quite a bit, even against gun rounds sometimes. Shazam with a bit of unfortunate timing. Looks away from his angle just as he thought he was safe, and now ends up jumping into the wrong position to allow for Connor to pick up a kill against him. All of a sudden, not looking so hot, but Amanek will be able to trade that and picks up an additional kill. So advantage restored, but Seb moves in. He's not going to stay alive for very long, though. And with the entire A site now under the control of Misfits, and Sean just jumping down vents, still killing people, it's looking like Misfits should be able to take control of this round. B will do his best to more than likely find a gun and then fall back to save, but the round itself is certainly gone, as Misfits will be going up to 6-2 in a few moments here. And there you have it.
It's all over. Another bomb plant just in time for a little bit of extra fat cash for Misfits. They've really built up a good bank, and it's up to Ghost to decide whether or not they want to buy. Connor buys a deagle, which would imply to me that they're going to just pistol up, and it seems like that's the case. I think it's a smart move. A couple of players not having enough money to buy is going to put them in a terrible position. But because the deficit is so high at this point, I think it won't be too long before we start seeing them force up. And they're going to want to stop the bleeding soon. So if this next force up or this next full buy doesn't go too well, they're probably going to start buying light, and that's just going to favor Misfits more.
This aggressive movement that happened. I'm not even sure if Sean realized it, but I think Seb ended up backing away. Had the position inside here, just wasn't secure enough, so he'll hold in the corner instead. And that'll halt the T's for right now. So they'll keep themselves back a little bit. Examine their options before they commit to anything. Goes back to some of the anti-takas that we were seeing before. Very much a slow roll to clear out the map and try to lose as few players as possible here. And they're doing a pretty good job of that so far. Sean, along with Shazam, have already picked up kills on outside and hiding in the hallway. Sean just gets another one. Ghost has continued to peek that doorway for whatever reason, so it's handed over kills to Misfits here. And at the end of the day, only one will remain once more. B, last alive again here. He's going to try to do his best to impact, but when he finally peaks, Devo instantly knocks him down. That's number 7 here for the Misfits.
Yeah, I like this anti-eco. I think that their approach is basically hold in lobby, make sure that nobody pushes ramp or hut, and then take outside with a couple of people, and then use those people to get enough distance that they could wrap and split outside through mini and get kills in the process, maintaining a distance advantage, and then eventually try to get a man advantage. I think it's probably one of the best ways to play an anti-eco on this map if you were going to pick one to use every single time.
Okay, Wardell is going to have a good position, and when the door blows open, Sean is not ready to take the fight as he was in the previous round. It's Wardell that picks up the kill, and, well, that'll be interesting. Rix just dives into the doorway, gives a bit of a surprise to Sick, but he's able to hold on his own. Amanek, though, not so much. It's outwitted by Connor, hiding down at the bottom boxes here, but Shazam able to pick on just barely the angle there and take down Seb, keeping it somewhat even for now. However, Misfits are still in trouble with Wardell pushing out of Secret here, picking up the kill for free. Almost gets a double right there at the end, too. But he has brought it down to just one man standing here. Sick looking to clutch in a 1v3. And also just pincered outside. Nowhere to go, no safe positions to play off of. And it's not long before we see Connor taking him down and securing a 3rd round for Ghost.
Nice round from the whole team, really. I think they've shown that they can be formidable both at ramp and in upper. So they called that Misfits were going to try to attempt to take outside in the full rifle. We've seen them do it on the ecos, but not as much without just going straight to Secret on the full rifle rounds. And with that setup, Ghost have favorable trades. So also on top of hitting shots, had the appropriate setup and put together a round they really needed. Again, if they had lost that round, you might see some poor economic decisions. Shazam completely dying to the Molotov, 100 damage. That's literally like 17 hits.
So a bit of a misstep from him in trying to get more aggressive to line up an early kill. Missed that opportunity. So that will gift it over to Seb, and now everything goes very quiet as Misfits do get prepared to just burst into the site through Shed primarily. Seb blind, doesn't even try to blind fire past it though, so he's just going to give himself away to Devo. Catches that trade. Connor holding up top though is still going to be able to pick up a massive amount of kills, and with B and Wardell finding the last 2, starting to look a little bit cleaner here from Ghost as they pick up the round with still 4 players standing.
It certainly seemed like that was about to be a flash that won the rounds to blind whoever it was coming out of Squeaky initially. Or to defending Squeaky initially.
Seb, I think.
But Connor getting these 2 kills gives his teammates enough room to rotate in and draw attention to him in Rafters, and that helps his teammates get into heaven, helps the one get out of vent safely, which is a very difficult, terrifying position to come out of when retaking A. And there was them working together to deny any trades upstairs was definitely the deciding factor.
Seb starts us off again here from Ghost as he picks up this first kill. As Misfits continue to try and play very fast, but almost always lose 1 to 2 players at the start of the round. As a result of it, great recovery from Wardell to get 1 more kill before finally being overwhelmed by Shazam. It's done the damage. It's brought Misfits down to just 2. At best, they're looking for a plant here, but even that might not happen. Shazam is now the only player left standing, stuck at the double doors. He can't even properly fall back up Secret anymore, as they've even taken that position. Really good map control being established by Ghost, and they completely shut down another rushed attempt from Misfits.
I like this. The adjustments are coming through. They're starting to hold on to things, and they're putting the op in the right place as well. Wardell getting put to work here. Good position to be in. Nice second shot to give his team some breathing room. I mean, they go down 4-3. But that's kind of enough with also the information on a couple more people and the understanding that it is going to be in a lower take. There's a rare circumstance where maybe they try to readjust and go upper, but now Misfits are saving. They've only got pistols. Great couple of previous rounds from Ghost. And oh.
Not sure if that was just poor timing or he hit the wrong button there, but he will make the mistake of hitting his reload key. That will actually lead to his death. He still had plenty of ammo left over to take that fight, but force of habit now leads to a trade and brings things down to a 4v4. Misfits will obviously again continue to play very, very slowly here since they don't really have the right to initiate in quick fashion due to a complete lack of utility and gunpowder. So Amanek tries to mask that drop, but Wardell is right outside of the shed, and he's going to be able to pick up 1. Oh, nice adjustment as well to now drop the bomb. These guys don't have a smoke, but Shazam does have a deagle. He's going to be able to pick up at least 1 kill with that. Also some damage going on to Seb there as well. Knocks off about half of his HP. They're distracted by that though, so now Rix is going to be able to just walk right up Secret, finds the last man standing here. It's just Shazam, so he'll be able to take him down. And there we go, just 1 away from the tie now as Ghosts come up to 6.
Yeah, so far, awesome. Awesome the fact that they were able to string the rifle rounds in a row and then also earn a save, clean up the save very cleanly. Now, there's only a couple of rounds in the half. They have just enough economy that if they did lose a round, they'd have enough to rebuy, which is perfect considering it could potentially be an 8-7 half or you know, an 8-7 half in favor of Misfits if they do win this. But now Misfits have to decide what they do. They've shown kind of their hand that they like to do things quickly. It's starting not to work, and they've got to decide, do they just try it one more time, or do they make an adjustment? Here they've got to lurk into lower with the bomb, and I think oh, there's a lobby push that gets called out.
I think they're going to be suspicious of more of it, too. This guy, Shot's coming in through the door. Shot still directly peeks it, though. It's going to give Rix the duel he needs. Connor as well comes out on top of another 1v1 against Sick. So this is very quickly gone from a slight advantage to the Misfits to now Ghost having control again. Connor's going to be a little bit careful peeking out from here, though, especially at the low HP. Someone by chance catches him and is ready to take the shot, then he could find himself a dead man very quickly. I think he saw that peek from Amanek, and Rix has a perfect position on top of Twinkie, but fails outright. Shazam's going to be able to take him down, and now we're even again into a 3v3 with Misfits very quickly moving in to take control of the upper bomb site. Be able to get that. Shazam, no, caught lurking outside of the doorway. It's going to lead to his death. The Sep picks up a kill. Wardell, some beautiful op shots continuing to be hit by him, and Amanek has got to do a double take, but he can't recover properly. Connor is going to take him down, and that secures it. A 7-7 tie is going to be coming up here now as Ghost defuse the bomb.
I would have said that. Misfits would probably win that round considering the trend we've seen of them getting into sites and even at even numbers, always holding it down in the post plant. But here's a change of pace. Ghost Gaming win in unlikely rounds. They have a ton of money at Misfits because of their full loss, and the bomb plant have enough money to buy, fortunately for them. But then Ghost know they're somewhat low. And again, the fast strats, well, that wasn't necessarily a fast strat. They tried to feign secret control to pull a push and actually Ghost were down 4-5 at the beginning of the round because B pushed in a lobby. Sean Gares killed him, and even from there, we're able to pull it back.
And so on to this final round, Misfits losing so much momentum in the middle of this half. They're going to have to try and recover and at least pick up an 8th round. Otherwise, Ghost will take the lead here. And Seb, with a good hold to start us off, drops the bomb, recovers there, and adjusts his position to be able to pick up a 2nd kill before being traded out by Sean. So it goes down to a 3v4 with Misfits getting site control here. And now they're just looking for their room to plant, mollying out Heaven to be safe. Is not going to let B get any access back inside, at least for now. They'll be allowed to go into their post plants, but the CTs have quite a bit. They're ready to retake this site already. Oh, there's going to be B catching an easy one of the Amanek. Just goes right up top. He won't be ready nearly in the nick of time to be able to trade out that kill. Rix finding a 2nd, Connor with the 3rd. And there you go, just a quick cleanup. Very clean retake from Ghost as they secure their final round on the half.
Hey, pretty good end of the half. They get the retake defuse once again. Honestly, it felt like Misfits were going to end that half 9-6, but Ghost come back and just numerically win the half. So impressive.
So guys, we'll be right back. The second half is coming up in just a few moments here. Stick with us here at the ESL Pro League.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Intel, the City of Odense, GeForce GTX, Lenovo Legion, Bedway, Pay Safeguard, Logitech G, Mountain Dew League, Xfinity, and ESEA.
All right, we're back again, guys, as we see Ghost Gaming take on the Misfits here on Nuke to start off the night, and it hasn't been necessarily a one-sided affair. It started off very well for the Misfits. Their fast, aggressive T-sided play got them quite a few rounds to start, but then Ghost found the counter to that, and after that, it was actually pretty much Ghost picking up most of the rounds towards the end of the half, and they took the lead 8-7 in the very last round.
Yeah, in terms of tempo, it seemed like Misfits were getting exactly what they wanted. They started out quick, they were running over them, and then towards the end of the half, Ghosts were adjusting to it really well, and even when Misfits were getting in the sights, when early in the half they would lose in the post plants or win in the post plants, Ghosts were retaking, and that's something I didn't expect to see. I thought that the readjustment would be there, but then if there were a round where Ghosts was, or where Misfits did still get in the sight, even if Ghosts were doing a good job of stopping the executes or stopping the fast strats, that they'd win in the post plant, but that wasn't the case. So now we moved in the second half. It's kind of a brand new half. A little bit shocked.
Yeah, and again, just to go back to my point, but towards the beginning of the match too, is it the T-sides where teams are really going to be tested in my eyes here about whether they can innovate beyond just their normal set executes, which we saw from Misfits at the beginning, and it worked. But then Ghost found the counter to that, and we never really saw a counter adjustment come in from Misfits themselves. They kept trying to go for very direct strategies, and while they still were able to get site control a lot of the time, in post plants it was very, very messy. We oftentimes saw just fairly straightforward retakes from Ghost to win the rounds.
It definitely seemed that they were trying to reach to get an opening kill in a 3v3, like push something, and that's maybe where those retakes fell apart. For sure, I can see that. And with this pistol, it's kind of equal for both teams. I don't think that this map's obviously not a CT side as it once was. Thank God. But economy is still a factor.
Ghost going for the drop smokes here to try to get themselves in events pretty quickly. They don't follow it through, though. I think they're going to sit back and just make sure no one else from Misfits tries to push them very quickly. Or at least sell the illusion, but where's the follow through? They're actually just going to go out into the site. When they threw that initial smoke, they will move out, and it's very similar to what we saw from Misfits, but for Ghost, it's working out much better on the execute here, as Misfits instead will directly challenge this upon the entry, and this is becoming a problem for Misfits. Everyone just dying in heaven one by one, and Ghost just clean it up nice and easily to secure that lead.
We go for not just a lead at this point, but a significant lead. We're going to potentially see an 11-7 start on the T side. And again, this map is not nearly as CT sided as it once was. In fact, with the ability to wrap outside through the rafters and that forcing CTs out of different positions that they could sit in before, it changes the game completely. I think you'd have to go in depth kind of to show why it's so important that this thing exists, even if you don't use it. Because before, you could sit in Big Garage with an op and listen for a secret wrap and listen for people going outside. But now if you just sit in Big Garage, you're denying yourself all this information. So CTs only play there half the time, or sometimes they have to dedicate an extra person outside. And you could also look at it as it's hard enough with 5 CTs to cover all spots on Nuke. But now, it's that much harder.
We can see at the beginning here, too, Ghost just holding it back, waiting to see if anyone from Misfits will move out to gather any of that intelligence. For the most part, not going to see it. I think the most press-forward player that we have across the map right now is going to be Sean, waiting at the middle portion there of the secret steps. No one on top of Twinkies has been able to spot him just yet, but that's going to change in a moment. He went up. For certain, should have seen Seb.
Yeah, it seemed like he was a bit tunnel visioned.
So maybe not. Regardless, we'll end up falling back down through the tunnels, and probably he's going to transition through the vents to find a ticket to get back up to this site. The thing is, though, is that the mini shed has been taken here. And that is going to make it more difficult for Sean to try and rotate back up normally. And you can see him changing his direction now back towards those steps as the site tick begins, though. Devo holds for the first kill, but B picks up a trade, taking down Shazam. Seb just kind of going in the zone. It's going to be a little bit risky, but Sean's attempt to flank fails. 6 still holds from behind the silos. Picks up at least one more kill, and Almanac yet to be seen here. He's going to pick up 1. Spams wildly, however, while falling back, and that will not only lead to him running out of ammo, but will lead to his teammate going down. Still, though, with his trade, brings it into a 1v1, and now needs to close out. He's only got 7 bullets left in the chamber. He has 3 of them now. He'll end up just having to try and close this out, but actually, wow, he's going to be able to roll right up, and not only does he get the kill on Rix, but even manages to secure the round and deny the plant, more importantly there, too, so very well done, as Misfits upset in the second.
Yikes.
Yeah, a little bit messy there from Ghost.
It was a little bit messy. The weird part, though, was maybe they spent a little bit too much time hanging outside, And that was maybe my first concern, because if you don't see an outer push right away, you're not typically going to see it late because you've got so much ground to cover. Like if you nade outside and push it, you do it at the beginning of the round. But there, they hung out for a little bit too long, and then obviously we see that factor in at the end. But they threw good Molotovs and stuff to clear out upper. They cleared out all the spots upper, they snuck B in, they got him to spot a lot of things. But then they ran through the hut smoke, not expecting anyone to be on the floor behind the silo. They just forgot about a couple of spots for absolutely no reason.
Great shot from Shazam. Knocks out Seb early on, and Misfits want to retake back their control very, very quickly. And in fact, they can do that right now by tying this game up. Using the slower pace style from Ghost in the previous round and writing them down to the timer, not even letting them plant either, so they immediately end up on a pretty pitiful buy here. Sean cleans up another kill, and Omnic clotheslines Connor, leaving only Rix alive. A little mid-portion of the ladder here. And when he finally attempts to take a duel, Sick will immediately knock him out. Much cleaner from Misfits as they go 9-9 against Ghost, and Ghost will have really no choice but to save again now. Yeah,
not only do they steal us back, they demoralize them a little bit, and they also have the ability to build up their economy quite a bit. They've got the UMP, the MP9 that they know they can hang on to, and effectively, just like in the first half, they have what could be a bonus round next round. This is all assuming that not a lot of damage is dealt by Ghost, but it seems likely that that's going to happen.
Yeah, Devo already picking up a first kill, and they've blocked off any of the access points here too. Shazam is going to be in a bit of a tough spot, but he's got Devo outside now to support him, so he can go behind the blue box and more than likely survive the round. Depends more so on Devo than himself, however, as he's going to be able to hold. Great flick to pick up that second kill, and Shazam even coming in for the assist there, so it's not even Devo that gets it. It's actually Shazam, and ooh, a little close there on the spam. We almost saw Shazam get team killed, but Devo closes out, and Misfits, more importantly, now take the lead back.
What I'm curious about is, will we see them upgrade their MP9 and UMP? I imagine they'll hang on to the UMP at the very least. I wouldn't even mind if they didn't upgrade anything at all, but it looks like here we have it. 3 M4s, 2 M4s, an AK, a UMP, and Op on Shazam. Full nades, kits on everybody, besides Sean. And as for Ghost Gaming, they're trying to catch our mini rotator. And we know that this guy sometimes will come in through via outside, so you can support outside if that's the case. Similar to how you would, even if you were an A player on cash, you might run out mid through highway as opposed to run through truck, because it's kind of a waste of time. But you can get caught off guard. No, Squeaky open. Wardell not finding a kill. This is not exactly the easiest map to find op frags on. It's hard to get mad at your opper for not finding them.
Sean lurking outside here, but he's got to be careful. And as a result, will fall back since he doesn't get that kill right off the bat. He's already going to get himself outside of mini, but the problem is now that they know outside's been pushed and there probably isn't any additional presence, well, that nade actually does a pretty decent amount of damage. If I'm being honest, I'm surprised at how much damage it did. Rix loses just under half of his HP, and Connor loses about a quarter of it.
That was a Miami Heat nade.
In the moment right there. Has to chuck that one up to the top. But Wardell is going to get the first actual kill from Ghost, and even better, they smoke off Mini. Sean really can't look for any responses unless they go right. Oh, he actually does have a small little crevice there to find off shots. Shazam, along with Devo, both in the site, holding on very well. Rix is going to be able to drop them and very quickly gets that headshot against Sean. That'll be impressive. But the problem is that just these two left alive here. Rix and B having to look for trades. B already dead. They know where Rix is pushing in from, and he only has 15 seconds left too. The lack of intelligence, the lack of getting any control in the site, too, has made this round pretty much impossible for Ghost to win. And it looks like Rix is just going to be posting up in a corner to save the AK, as Misfits will go up to 11.
Tough round to lose. They had nothing going for them at really any point. It seemed like Misfits were in complete control. Unfortunately for them, the mini smoke misses, and that is something that you can line up. You don't often feel like you have to. It seems like pretty easy to eyeball it, but in that situation, Devo Duvek finding impact through the corner of it posed a big problem. It's you don't want to have to account for that when taking upstairs because there's enough people there, let alone having to deal with the outside rotators. Now, Ghosts are maybe going to speed it up a little bit. I would hope actually, because it seems like they're going to have trouble staying coordinated on these full buys in long drawn-out rounds versus Misfits, who understand this map much better than they do.
Ghost already taking over trophy room here, and are probably going to look to transition that once the smoke fades into ramp control as well. But they'll leave the options open. No full commitment anywhere. However, that will change very, very quickly. as essentially everyone is going to be pushing ramp here in a moment. And they should be able to get it pretty much contest-free. Ominex here, but he's going to be in a bit of an awkward position. He's changed it now to be behind the box, but yeah, it's still not great. Definitely had his shoulder leaning out a bit, so Rix is going to be able to headshot him, takes him down, and that's the first clean kill for them. Basically 0 damage traded for it as well. Now Ghost can just flood downstairs, get a plant going for themselves. Sean is here, but he's not going to be able to stop the plant because it's happening behind the silo. If Connor peeks, more likely Sean has an advantage there, but it's still going to be troublesome now for Misfits. Try and bargain and find a way back into this site, since Ghost takes such free control with only 1 kill on Ominex.
Yeah, this retake is not looking very viable. Ghosts are not giving them any kills and bleeding the clock down. This is kind of interesting. We're actually seeing them peel back at the moment.
I think they're going to save.
Yeah. Wow, look at that.
Good flick from Shazam to recover and at least defend himself, but...
Yeah, he needs to go, though. Like, he's not going to live here.
Yeah.
He's giving up an op as well. They didn't even recover guns. This is a big find. He needed to get the hell out of there, honestly.
So they get a free behind just a single AK buy starting off that round. They, for one, win the round, which is impressive in itself. And then they also get a free op off of Shazam. And the M4 as well was also picked up for free in that round. So they get a whole lot for very little being actually done in that round. It's actually pretty impressive and a big mess up by Misfits.
Spinning green on the Wheel of Fortune. And yeah, I mean, if you're going to full commit to the save, you should full commit to the save.
And that lapse in judgment could potentially cost them. Misfits do have the lead still, of course, but it's a very delicate one. Now being brought down to only 1 round. Wardell as well, great flick, but on the repeak will miss the killing shot.
They have the bomb completely in their control. That is, you don't want your Opera to have the bomb, #1. For another thing is you don't want to show it at the beginning of the round if you're not going to use him to execute on the site. They might have moved off of that.
Oh man, and that little gap in the smoke. How unfortunate that is. Otherwise, Ghost B probably would have been able to push in and retrieve the bomb. Now it's been pushed even further into the site, so didn't help their case at all. And for Rix, Connor, and Seb, to look for some way to recover on this. They even have to watch their flank there too. Check this out from Ominex. Just walking in a trophy room. Can probably go all the way through the lobby. I'm pretty sure he's going to have a guaranteed kill unless someone checks this. And there you go. Walks right in, takes Seb out. No further reason to push that right now. He can just hold back and wait for them to execute and then really pinch this. And there you have it once again. Sean picks up the kill onto Connor. Rix has responded with one of his own, but that really does not mean much. It's happening outside, pretty much completely detached from what's relevant inside of the round.
Fortunately for Ghost, they won that round really cleanly last round and also got the bomb plant. Here they don't have that, but it's, you know, it's sad to say that the round is lost because they lost the bomb. In an objective-based game like Counter-Strike, I mean, yeah, a lot of rounds are won by just eliminating all the CTs or eliminating all the Ts, but in a situation like this, the bomb is everything. Because you don't have to do anything else except for make sure that that bomb can't be recovered. So it becomes way too easy. Literally drops in front of the door, and that's unfortunate physics as well. But they could have accounted for it by making sure that they didn't leave it with the guy who was going to go for the opening pick.
And that second attempt to retrieve it, we saw the smoke get tossed out for too. It's been unfortunate the smoke turned just a little bit too far out, so there's a little bit of a gap left in it that Misfits were able to use to defend the bomb and stop any chance of Ghost from getting that back. Ghost, though, change up their prerogative this time as they just basically rush outside after some smokes get deployed and get that usual red to secret smoke wall set up. And they'll leave Connor behind, which actually could work out pretty well. He stays peaked though, but it doesn't look like he's going to sit in that cubby for too long. He falls back closer to the roof, and while 3 of them are going to be let through into secret, they're going to have to start fragging out here, and Wardell will start it off with a kill on Sean.
That's a nice one. This is a reset round, and it's really good for Ghost that they're able to get an op, but also get a kill. So Misfits have a lot to win here with this round. I mean, this could be an easy road to 14 if they clean this up, but Ghost making a case for themselves.
And more importantly, knocking out Sean nice and early here. I've put 0 pressure outside besides him. So everything else is pretty much contained on the upper bomb site. And they have a 1, I think, sitting down in the lower vents. And he's even going to move up now, too. So just Shazam down there instead. Ominex now found as well. I believe he was one of the players also playing downstairs. So Misfits already down to just 3 left alive.
Sometimes it's really hard to tell, even when you're up numbers, what site you're supposed to go to. It's hard to find. Oh! I don't know how. Okay.
Okay, that kill took a little bit longer than expected. As Wardell picks it up, sick with one trade, but he's going to be completely overwhelmed. And Shazam, well, decides he doesn't want to take that fight. Just backs out of there.
It's a warning, man.
Yeah.
Get you next time, buddy.
Sit inside of the vents, looking to save now as the round is over. Ghost are going to be able to hold on with a very slow rolling A execute and pick up an 11th for themselves here.
It's cool. Ghosts come through in the clutch once again, and I say clutch just because it's a round where if they lose, they literally will have to double save. So they recover it, they play it slowly. They give Wardell a couple of picks, which is kind of a mistake by Misfits, but it's much easier once you get the 5v4 to get the next kills. And the reason is because as a CT, you don't want to have to play the round out. As a CT, you don't want to have to play the round out passively when you know that T's can slowly get more and more map control. So you try to look for one yourself. And that's why we saw him being so patient after they got that opening frag.
Shazam. Oh. All right, there you go. Has to go looking for it, but he does find the kill. And apparently Seb stabbed Wardell in the back and killed him.
He's playing too many pugs.
It's an interesting round we have here.
He's pugging.
Yeah. Thought it was a rank S for a second.
Is there no team damage in rank S?
I actually thought about that after I said that, because I don't know if I think there is team damage in rank S. So
there is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just ignore me.
Just regular pugs.
Yeah, just regular pugs. Yeah. Oh, slow start to the round again. As Connor's gonna poke a hole in the door, hoping he could find an easy option for a kill, but not so much the case. Misfits have a less focused setup, I'll say, this time. They're actually trying to, I believe, push towards ramp. They've got at least 2 players hiding around that room there. Should be, I think, 1 in hell, 1 in the actual room. And then they've also had Sean push pretty far into outside, so he's got a lot of vision. He knows for certain that there's 0 presence being established out there, which means it's either just going to be a direct hit into A or something over towards ramp here. But Ghost are doing a good job of keeping it quiet and not revealing themselves. Under a minute left, though, and they haven't actually moved into execute yet, so they're going to have to hope that this goes successfully. In they go, and they find 2 kills right off the bat. They go completely unresponded to. Even when Sick gets in the way, he's not able to find anything. So there you go, Shazam finally picking up a kill. Amanek working his way in on a flank, too. He's allowed to get 1 kill, but now he's the last man standing. Rix picked up the trade on the Shazam in B's position at the outside of Shed. Lets him kill Amanek, now tying us up at 12-12.
This is kind of scary, Blue, because this game started out with a pistol round won by Misfits. In the second half, they didn't win the pistol round, but they won the eco conversion, and that's a bunch of free rounds that they've tallied up, and they're only tied 12-12 in the second half. So that means Ghost have really done a good job on this map overall. They've won maybe more rifle rounds than Misfits have. Yeah, and there's a strong chance for them to push ahead and continue to take that strong lead, and Wardell almost hits a double right off the bat, so this is a good way to start the round. There you go, he'll get the assist on the second kill that Rix grabs. He's going to continue to push forward, too. Outside's been cleared. They've already got a 5v3. No reason why they shouldn't be able to push into a site, although they do get trapped a little bit. They don't notice the player sitting up on top of the shed in sight. And now Amanek's going to be able to surprise them too, missing his shots though, forced back down below into the tunnels. And with B picking up at least 1 more kill, it's going to continue to thin the numbers out. Sick will sneak up on him, picking up a kill, and Amanek as well just comes rolling up the ramp ladder. Besides that, still a very clean round from Ghost, only losing B there. They now take the lead at 13-12, but we will be getting to another gun round for the Misfits in a second here. Got a lot of cash to fall back on, and they've really got to start turning up here. I mean, again, we're talking about 2 teams that, first of all, this is Misfits' map. They should 100% win this versus Ghost. Ghost just replaced a player. They're at the bottom of Pro League. They're fighting against relegation. Misfits are fighting for the opportunity to go to Odense, and I think that it's kind of crazy to see this become so close, all things considered, but Ghosts have had some very legitimate rounds to look back on. One of the last rifle rounds we'll see in this half. Devo starts it off with a UMP 2K and some bonus damage on his teammate. Yep, gets the support there inside of Mini, so there's going to be no way that Ghost will be able to push into that for at least another few seconds here. And with just a complete lack of momentum, I mean, patience works out to a certain point here, as they're able to get their first trade kill, taking down Shazam. They still have a long way to go with this slow crawl towards ramp. It could end very poorly for them. You saw that flank a second ago.
And Sean, while he'll be taken down, Almanac is going to continue to waltz right in. I think he misses his chance to really find any impact, though. Almanac moves way too slowly on that flank.
Yeah, that's actually a desk slamming whiff, because that's like your ramp control, that's the man advantage gone, that's your teammate not being able to rotate in just in time. That's a very important kill in that round. And Sean had the jump on whoever it was shooting him. And they also took him a long time. They both took kind of a long time, so they'd both be very upset if they missed. And now it's going to be up to Misfits to either gamble stack or scramble around and hope that they timing some of these terrorists. But it's really, really scary for both teams here.
Ghost continues to look for their right to initiate into one of the 2 bomb sites. It looks like Rix is going to move into heaven just to clear it out first so that his other 2 teammates can go up the ladder. And besides that, it's going to be a waterfall execute into A, which actually has worked out okay for them because besides Almanac sitting by the door, there's really no presence here from Misfits at all due to their players being at the same number here. But they will quickly rotate them over. Sick is just a quick few seconds away, and Almanac can finally spring out as he did have this position next to the door the whole time. Smoke into heaven. It's not the greatest smoke, though, but it should cover it off enough. As Devil picks up the second kill, leaves only B alive, but not for very long. He'll go down, and it's a first time, I can say this in a while, that Misfits pull off an incredibly clean retake against Ghost. Yeah,
that was nice. Now, they planned for kind of an upper hit, but they pushed into positions that's like, okay, if they come lobby, we'll shut them down early. We'll try to catch them off guard, and if not, we'll make sure to stay alive so we can have someone come in for the retake. And I think Rick's kind of messed it up there by pushing into Hut from Ghost perspective, because they had the 3v3, and I think they should have realized that, or if Misfits aren't here at all, there might be someone nearby. And instead of that, he just kept going as if, all right, we've got all this free map control. There's no one in sight. I have the ability to do this safely, and he was just, he was just wrong. So I think maybe if he just kind of stayed put, made sure no one could come out of Hut, for example, he could have had cover from heaven. Instead, giving Misfits the man advantage, it activates everybody to moving a lot more fast.
Shazam will start us off this time. So he found Wardell. That was probably an outside battle. Actually, no. Looks like ramp is where Shazam was positioned this time around. So catches him trying to push Trophy Room. Gives us a nice little 5v4 to start off the round with. And Almanac will even move into the ramp room to support Shazam a little bit better there. So this will let Shazam take up a new position. Besides this, it all goes quiet again. Ghost seem to have run out of steam randomly here all of a sudden. They're losing players at the beginning of the round in the first 20 to 30 seconds or so, and they just don't seem to have a response to that.
Hey, you'll always have that feeling when you lose the first person really early on T side, on Nuke. You have this instant feeling of, okay, we didn't win this round. It's going to be very hard to win this round. Like, we were relying heavily on Wardell, we're relying heavily on staying alive at the very least. It's unlikely.
Well, as they do go for just an all-in execute into A essentially here. Sick is left to defend it, but he is going to have Devo supporting from the top side. He picks up a massive number of kills here. Connor tries to escape the molly by jumping into the window and shed, but he won't even make it through that. Sick takes him down, and that lets Misfits take back the lead now at 14 to 13 with Ghost Money being in a pretty bad spot as they are nearly broken.
Yeah, they're going to talk about this, and I think if I was in Ghost Camp, I'd actually seriously consider buying, but if they do save, they'll only have 2 rounds to get to OT. OT is a new beast, but maybe they don't want to play Misfits in OT. I think there's a serious argument against doing that, but it really depends what kind of buy they can put together with what they have left over. Like, if they can't afford nades on 3 people, for example, maybe they don't want to do it. If they don't think they can get away with a fast strat, they don't want to do it. So it's going to be a pretty serious conversation. Whereas for Misfits, it's pretty simple. We just won the round. We've won a couple. We can use our pre-mollies to make sure they can't do anything fast. And if they want to play a long round on low money, well, the odds are going to be stacked against them. And Shazam sets it off with a very important octo at the beginning of the last round.
So the pause should resume in a moment, or the pause should be unpause, I should say, in a second here, as it has expired, and we're jumping back into it now. Ghost still behind, and them deciding to pretty lightly buy here. Actually just CZs across the board and only 3 players with armor. Just 2 smokes to hold up any fast plays, or excuse me, to set up a faster play if they want to go for one.
I like it. Playing for OT is a little bit of a risk, just considering how I think Misfits will be stronger in OT, but do they have a great chance to win this round if they bought up? Maybe not. Maybe this is the smarter choice, and it shows that they definitely believe they can win, which I like to see that fighting spirit for sure.
To wait a little bit before we can see if they can get any work done on this round specifically, as once again they go back to the very passive style of play. No map control really being taken besides lobby. Haven't tried to move out for mid either, besides just having Rix on top of the Twinkie, and he's not directly peeking it. They're waiting down the timer. And they could really go anywhere at this point, so it's up in the air in terms of what they're going to do from a strategy perspective.
Ramp kind of acts like the middle of the map where teams will take it and then they'll just hold ramp for a bit, cause the CTs to stir. And sometimes CTs will only play one ramp or a player that can just fall off and go lower really fast. I think that's the appropriate setup because ramp can be really hard to hold with one person. That being said, Shazam's here solo. This is kind of a weakness just because he's going to be on cycle, and if they have proper spacing, it's going to be hard to kill all these guys. He's most likely going to get swarmed. Almanek is up in heaven and would be his first rotate, but isn't all that close.
They hear footsteps coming out of the steps. They're going to try to go for a vent drop, and one of their players almost gets clipped off in the process. They do see that vent drop, however, so they're going to realize what's happening, but it's not the entire team is the thing. They're trying to bait these rotates in. To a certain degree, it's worked.
Yeah, sometimes you want them to see this vent drop, but if they don't get the kill, yeah, see, like now they can go upstairs, so.
Almanek moves in, goes 1 for 1, and now it becomes a 2v3 hold. Scratch that, a 1v3 hold as Seb is left to be the last man standing. While he does translate one of the kills, and they do decent damage, which will keep the money low here to help Ghost run back now these last 2 rounds. Unfortunately, they don't close out enough to upset here, so they do have to now win the next 2 straight.
Yeah. So good damage dealt. I don't know. I don't think they got a bomb plant, but it was close. It was a valiant effort, and yeah, I liked how they used the vent drop to feign or to pull rotations. You pull CTs through the floor when you drop vents because everyone gets scared and they go lower, and then hitting upstairs can be great because you still have 2 people who can wrap around to cause some distractions, and you just never know where the T's are going to pop out of.
The T's specifically are going to be popping out of a whole lot of places on what could be this final round here. Trying to go for outside control. We had them slowly creeping up towards the ramp a little bit too, although they called it off, but for certain you could expect this to be probably an A execute. They've got a player sitting inside of the warehouse here, which you don't actually see too often. So Sean basically goes unchecked, escapes with a free kill. Sick, however, is going to go down. Sean's the only one impacting right now and keeping it even. Zam's got to be careful on that heaven peak, and unfortunately doesn't check his angle there in the back box. So B will knock him out, and it leaves only Almanek and Sean to retake 2v3, which they may not even attempt it because the money is going to be slightly low here. You can see that.
Yeah, that is true. They do have great nades for this retake, though. I mean, these are even better than flashes. They have a Molotov, 2 impact grenades. They could just find a kill right off the bat. It seems like they're not even going to attempt it, but I'm almost a little bit surprised. Their retakes have been pretty good. I know they're low, but yeah, I mean, they are thinking about the fact that next round is the last round to fend off OT. Good round from Ghost Gaming to get out to take upstairs as decisively as they did. And Almanek recovers the op. Doesn't die, but Sean goes down 1 for 1. It's hard to say who this favors. I actually think that favors Ghost, because, yeah. It definitely does.
Because now the rebuy from Misfits is still going to be pretty bad.
So here is a round where you can go pretty quickly as Ghost, even though you've got a huge advantage in terms of utility. Because you know that they aren't going to have a lot to work with and holding upstairs. We see that they favored buying Molotovs and in fact sacrificed FAMASs and M4s to get their utility, which is very smart by them.
I think they might actually be expecting a quicker execute this time to come out from Ghost, and they're somewhat right to do that. Rick's already peeking on top of Twinkie, looking for kills early on here. No success in that, though, since Misfits are holding back quite passively themselves, pretty much just focusing entirely on the sights. The exception of obviously having Almanek over towards ramp there. And Sean's watch outer. Sean's going to be doing that from Mini, though. And without any significant outside pressure, he's going to be allowed to just sit here and wreak havoc, so they want to be careful about that. Rick specifically is watching for someone like Sean to push outside, but I don't think we're going to be seeing that. He did take up a slightly different position, I think, but showing no signs of actually falling back to or pushing forward to execute on that position. As we are going to see Ghost continue to run the timer down. Still not closer to that execute, but I think they're probably going to go for it in the next couple of seconds here. Players up on top. Here comes the set execute as they'll toss mollies and smokes through the windows on top. Try and line themselves up for it, but Misfits have a great crossfire door. If they try to push out there, it's going to go badly, especially with their initial molly missing. They do have some good pop flashes, however, and we can see most of Misfits blind, and actually Ghost are going to divert through towards ramp instead. They throw them off a little bit here, get them fully committed to the A site and head downstairs instead, but Misfits aren't completely out of this site just yet. Almanek's going to be able to push up the control, gets the first kill, and Sean has decon control where he picks up a double kill, knocks out B and Connor. It's not looking good for Ghost. Seb finally gets a response on Sick back by decon, but still, it's a 4v2. Well, they might have access to the plant. They don't have a whole lot of time to make it happen. Shazam takes down Wardell, and while Seb will pick up one more, Sean does close out. So in the 30th round, we'll see Misfits take control and win the match at 16-14.
That's tough, and I was just thinking when we were talking about them going to OT that there was also maybe the potential they were playing for the extra point, right? Because even if they get to OT, they get something for it. But I guess just for Ghost, on the couple of rounds we've seen that go like that, they were clearly a little bit worried. They spend a little bit too much time in their default. And so, like, almost as a message to them, just like, don't spend too much time in that super passive default, because when it comes time to execute and things go wrong, like Almanac gets that peek off and gets a kill, then you don't have enough time to take your time clearing stuff to get into plant position. So just don't spend too much time in the passive default, because on the 2 rounds we saw, the anti-eco in the second half, and that last round, we saw it be a huge problem for them.
Well, that does end our first map there in the favor of Misfits. They do take it in regulation, so they'll get 3 points for that match, and we'll get to see if they can do it again on the next map. But before we get to that, though, I'll take it back over to the analysis desk to break down this first map here on Nuke.
Outstanding job, fellas. Thank you very much for your time, as always. Now, guys, what turned out to be just almost a little bit quicker of a start turned into a 16-14. Let's talk a little bit about the storyline here.
Well, Misfits came out really hot, fast, a little different than the usual T side of maps, and I kind of liked it because they caught, I think, Ghost Gaming off a lot of rounds where they had to completely adjust.
Yeah, I think the theme that allowed Ghost to even get some rounds on that CT side was when they were getting Misfits to slow down, right? So it allowed them to know where they were on the map, right? Because on Nuke, if you don't know where all the T's are, it allows you to not rotate correctly. But when they knew where they were able to rotate accordingly, and I was actually pretty impressed with how Ghost was able to do that.
Well, let's go ahead and kick off our replays with round number 6 here. We've got a telegraph strat by the Misfits.
Yeah, so this round was basically B and Wardell saving guns from the previous round and then getting pistol half armor on the other 3 dudes. And what Misfits do is they telegraph the ramp rush by mauling Squeaky and Hut, right? That's what you do when you go ramp against pistols, is you usually want to just molly the behind, because they could literally follow you down that ramp room. And B luckily uses this smoke, and they know all 5 T's are in the U-turn area, basically ramp hallway, and therefore Ghost rotates accordingly. If you look at the minimap, you could see that there's 2 CTs in lobby, and it basically just throws a complete wrench in their gears, and they end up losing this round. So it's just kind of like a theme of how, you know, Ghost is able to lock down one area of the map, rotate into lobby a few times. Misfits weren't able to really get their outside splits going too much, and I think this was the key to the rounds that Ghost was able to win, was being able to slow the rounds down.
Well, I mean, even in the cases on our next replay, it's going to be just that. It's going to be Ghost grabbing around here, and ultimately, it's kind of catching them, I guess, foretelling to the fast style that they were using and abusing there in the beginning. Ghost kind of catches on a little bit. We can actually go ahead and load up round number 10.
So on this round, this is where they put Wardell. He has that pick off of the squeaky door, and then you see the Molotov in the hut. Ghost Gaming slowing it down, as you see Rick, so they're getting a little too aggressive, but this causes Misfits on their fast play style. They're all over the place. They're pushing, they're peeking, and once you slow down the upper, the outside's, you know, not as good as it is if you get kills. And you see Wardell, he was upper in the earlier round. He went down the vents all the way around, completely catch Misfits off guard. And so it was actually a great round by Wardell, but also as Ghost Gaming adjusting, as we were saying, they're Molotoving the rush, slowing them down, and it kind of puts Misfits in a weird spot where, you know, they are over peaking, they're getting picked off.
Basically catching them in the choke points and then isolating those choke points, stopping them. Plugging the holes.
Right in their tracks.
Right in their tracks. Well, we're going to go ahead and track on down to round number 14. That is the next replay we got loaded up here, and it's a pretty common way to open a round by the Misfits.
Yeah, but it's also really well timed. You can see that these guys are running full speed and the smokes land just in front of them, so there's a small window of opportunity for the CTs to push behind those smokes or use them for their own advantage. Misfits does that well. What goes wrong here is that they are indecisive in what they do. B takes control of lobby, but gets taken, his head gets taken off by Sean right here. For some reason, Misfits end up coming back up top. If I know that that guy came up lobby and then he actually gets that trade kill, I would end up just going back down lower. What's interesting here too is that Connor spots them coming back up top. They get the rotate in time, and then they even the score out 7-7 here. Ghost is looking pretty strong at the end of this round. So when this round happened, I was like, wow, Ghosts have a real shot at winning this match. And sure enough, it comes down to the wire, and it's a 30-round barn burner. So it's kind of sad that they couldn't take it across the line because, you know, all of their hopes of staying in Pro League basically rely on this match coming up.
So in this instance, it is appropriate to take it across the line, is what you're saying. There's a like an actual
close the door.
Close the door. An appropriate place to take it across the line. We're going to take it to the next line that we have here drawn for you, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be round 27 will be our next replay. And Wardell getting picked off in one really bad flash here.
So as we see, Wardell gets picked off a little early by Shazam, and so now Ghost is in this weird spot. Well, let's try to, you know, take upper with minimal nades, whatnot. So they toss a flash for the guy behind Silo. I don't see any nades, I guess, from the radar. They might have tossed one, but there's no smokes. There's minimum flashes, and so when you do that in an upper on Nuke, the CTs are going to be ready. They hear the nade pop in the ceiling. They know, oh, flashes. I'm going to be ready for the shot, and so the Ghost Gaming just ran into just people that were ready. I more preferred, I'll just speak in 1 second because I know you got something on your chest about this, is that they should have maybe just rushed upper without nades, like explode, or maybe toss it ramp or outside, so you kind of maybe hesitate a little bit upper, but if you're throwing it towards where you're going with no smokes, no multiple flashes to actually blind them.
It really bothered me. It's like, this is round 27, like, your Pro League hopes and maintaining it almost rely on what you do in the next 10 seconds. And that flash was good. It blinded Sick, who was playing behind the silo, but then they double peek out Squeaky towards Mini. So you're basically peeking a guy that should not be blind from the flash you're throwing. Why would you not peek out Hut, like, if you are going to do the flash? All of the ways that you described it, running out without a flash could have worked even better, but it's like, if you're going to use that flash, actually please use it instead of guaranteeing that you're peeking somebody that isn't blind. It just was like, you put in so much work, you're close in this map, and then you go ahead and do that. I wonder if it was miscommunication. Like, I'm flashing through the skylight, and he doesn't tell them what exactly he's flashing. I don't know what happened there. It was just really kind of sad to see, to be honest.
It's an odd round.
Perhaps a one-off puggy sort of strat could be the name of the game there, but ultimately it does result in a 16-14 in our first map going to the Misfits. Now that does it for Nuke. Coming up will be Train, and really quickly, guys, can we expect a similar scoreline here on Train?
I mean, Ghost Gaming has to win, obviously, and Misfits has shown that they can be pretty well on Train, especially Shazam, who, you know, you'll see him bounce around between Z, Bomb Train, mix it with the Ivy. They put him in all sorts of spots, so it's going to be hard to read Misfits. But I think Shazam's definitely going to, I think he's going to be a banger.
Yeah, I think Shazam's been kind of that cornerstone that helps him succeed on Train in big matches, like against Navi on LAN in the past. And I hate to make it that, like, op battle that everyone always talks about, but I really think it is going to be that. I think if Wardell, you know, kind of like vanquishes Shazam's ability to get kills, I think then it'll be an even game again, right? Like, looking at that map right there, I know is Nuke, but I don't see much separating these two teams in terms of talent.
In terms of talent, well, only time will tell, actually. We're going to be going into that last map. It is going to be Train. It could be an op battle, and it could not be. It's going to come down to either Wardell hitting the shots or Shazam shutting it down in return. Either way, we'll be jumping into Train. We're going to go to a quick break, so make sure you're here with us when we come back.